Welcome to Real Estate Made Easy with Susy Appel.
Hey, Susy, how's it going?
It's going great, Michael.
And welcome to Real Estate Made Easy.
Well, thank you.
With you.
For welcoming me to my show.
Yes. I think it's always good to welcome you to your show. I understand that we have an exciting show today, something very timely as it pertains to something that we all love, hold near and dear to our hearts, something we look forward to, and it's called taxes.
I don't know how exciting taxation is. I don't consider it exciting, but it's something we all have to address in our lives, right?
Yeah.
Whether we like it or not.
So tell me about property taxes. How are those things actually determined? Who figures this stuff out?
I wish I knew I could talk to them, have a deep conversation.
And that's our show for today.
Oh, okay. So I actually brought a copy of that taxation notice.
I'm sure everybody can see
right?
that. It looks like that.
We should have all gotten those in the mail recently.
So everybody who got one, please turn to your tax forms during the podcast. Thank
Yes,
you very
pull
much.
those out. Let's go over. No, I don't want to go over every item.
Okay.
I think it's important to understand the basics and then find out where you can get help if you need to. So that's what we wanted to talk about today.
Let's talk about that. Is there a difference between market value and taxable value?
There is. So, market value. So, every January, the county assessor determines what your home is worth. Okay. January 1st. And that's what they tax you on.
How do they do that? They're going to come out to my house and wander around?
Well, I don't know if you've ever had that happen, but I have several times.
Really?
Yes. It doesn't happen very often. But when they have free time and they recognize that values have gone up and they're leaving money on the table, right?
Right.
Then they hire people to go door to door and ask, like, what type of finishes do you have? You know, what type of countertops and flooring? And believe it or not, they actually do that.
Oh my gosh.
It's been a while, but they do that from time to time.
So do they give you a heads up that they're coming?
Oh, no. They just kind of knock on your door and see if you answer. And here's the thing. You don't have to disclose anything to the assessor. So it's up to them to come up with this value, so to speak.
Do you have to let them in?
No.
Just say.
No. Well, do you let strangers in your home? I don't.
No, I don't.
I don't recommend that.
But I thought maybe they flash a badge and they go, I'm from the county
regardless,
tax
don't let them in.
Okay.
So anyway, they come up with this value, right? And that's how they determine your tax. So that is what they consider the market value.
Oh.
Okay. And then they tax you whether or not you're a primary resident or a second home owner or an investor, right? There's different tax rates. And it's imperative that people, when they close on a home, within weeks, they make sure the county knows that they are a primary resident. Because if they do not do that and they go through the proper channels and application form, they will be taxed as a second homeowner, which is 45% higher than a primary resident.
Well, that's just not right.
You know, I think we're the Washington County and Summit County are the two counties in the state that do this. Everyone else presumes you're a primary resident. However, in these two counties, they presume you're a second homeowner or a secondary resident, so they can tax you higher unless you change that.
Okay, so you've got two classifications, primary resident, secondary home. What about if it's a vacation rental?
Secondary home or investor, same taxable rate. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so investor's the same as a secondary home?
Yes.
Really?
In terms of taxes, yes.
Well, I'm just not going to pay it.
Well, you didn't hear that from me. Okay.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. Yeah. So we don't really know who sets these rates, Are they just kind of arbitrary and somebody goes, yeah, I think
No.
20% today ought to do it?
They have appraisers. They have their own data. And so, but here's the good news. What they consider market value.
Yeah.
If you said to me, Susie, I want to list my house tomorrow, what's the market value? The true market value in our market would be much higher than what the county determines is their market value. Okay. So it is lower than a sellable market value.
Yeah.
But they come up with that number.
So they're not out pulling comps or something like that as if it was an actual sale. Do they do that?
Well, they use their appraisers to do so. So they do look at comps.
Okay.
Here's the important part is that, of course, first you want to make sure it's your primary residence. If it's not, you have to live in the home more than 50% of the time to create it as your primary resident. So if you are there 51% of the year, it's your primary residence. So we see that all the time where people will live in two different places, different parts of the year.
And how do I establish that to keep Mr. Tax Guy happy? Can I just say, oh yeah, I'm here 51% of the time?
You can. And we're assuming people are honest, right? I mean, they don't necessarily make you prove that.
Oh, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I could have a home.
I mean, they could argue that, and then you'd have to prove it. And there are ways to prove it. You can show your utility bills and that kind of thing. Most people are honest, and so it's not a problem.
Oh, well, that's actually pretty cool. Huh. I'm glad to hear that there is some honesty still around in our government entities. Yeah, whatever you say, Susie, that's fine. Okay, 51%. Next.
So,
all right, that's cool.
And we always advise people to be honest, right? We don't want to take advantage.
No, we don't want to do that.
We want to do the right thing.
So what about if I am displeased with my tax rate? Is there a way I can appeal that?
You can appeal it. That's our focus today. That's how I want to help you.
Please help me. Help all of us.
Yes.
So how do we do that? So I don't like my tax rate. I'm going to appeal it. What do I do?
Well, there is a form on the government website, on the Washington County government website. There's actually a tab that says appeal your taxes here. But what I'd like you to do, if you need help with that, it is a process. Call me, text me. I've done this multiple times for clients. I've done it myself.
Really?
And it works. So I can help you because you do have to provide comps that show why you think your home is valued for less than what they've determined. So that's how I come in.
Well, that seems like a really good strategy to do that.
Yeah.
And how often does that strategy actually work? A percentage amount of time?
Well, every time I've appealed myself or helped a client, it's worked.
Really?
So,
You have 100% success
apparently
rate.
I do.
Wow. I think that's a good reason to call Susy Appel.
I think it is too.
I have a 100% success rate. Wow.
So it's a simple process. Here's the thing. We only have approximately 6 weeks to do this. And that's why I thought it was important to come on today and talk about it.
So there's a time frame between point A and point B. You've got 6 weeks. And what are those two dates?
August 1st to September 15th.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And
you guys better get busy.
Well,
Start
I mean,
calling.
And it's not typical, I would say, but it does happen. So it's important to look at that value. Again, once you've got your notification, we should all have those by now. Look at that. If you want to help understanding it, I can help explain it to you, or we can go through the process if we think that the value is too high.
So once I appeal it, once I call you and I go, Susie, this thing's way out of whack. Can you help me this? And you go, oh, Michael, absolutely. I do this all the time. I have 100% success rate. I go, that's great. So you start the process. How long is that going to take?
Within weeks, I think, as long as you've made the application to appeal within that 6 week, this 6 week period of time, then it's up to them to get back to you. And then if you disagree with their decision, then you can appeal it again at the state tax commission. Now, I've never had to do that because my success rate is so high.
100%.
But if I had to, then I could try to help you through that process as well.
So, okay, so let's say that you appeal it for some reason, okay? And it goes longer than the 6 weeks. In fact, this thing just drags out. And they don't change it for whatever reason. And then all of a sudden, sometime in February, they go, oh, you know what? We're going ahead and adjust it. Do they do any type of prorating or backdating, or do they do anything like that?
No, if you've made the application during that time, you're going to hear back from them.
Okay.
I mean, I've never heard of that happening before. So it'll happen. They'll notify you one way or the other.
So I've got 6 weeks up until September, 15th?
Yes.
Okay. And as long as I get my paperwork in before that date, then however long it takes, doesn't matter because I'm golden, and they're just going to go through everybody else's paperwork, and they're just going to take care of business, and they're going to go, oh, look, here's one from Susy. She has 100% success rate. Let's just approve it.
It's the only thing I have 100% success rate.
I think that's great.
So this is not exciting conversation wise, but it's something that we all have to consider and look at and make sure we're not overpaying, right? Who wants to do that? Who wants to give more money to the government?
I don't see any hands going up out here.
I don't.
No.
Yeah.
So that's good. So I can appeal my tax rate if I don't like it. I need to get it in before September the 15th. Doesn't matter how long it takes. They're just going to take care of it for me. And there's different levels if I'm a primary resident or if I'm a secondary resident, if this is my secondary home, or an investment property. And that's going to be 45% more.
Yes.
So if my tax rate is $100 as a primary resident, if I'm a secondary resident, it's going to be $145. Okay. I got it. That makes sense.
So one last, I think I touched on this a minute ago when I said when you close on a house, but that's such an important piece of it. You have to determine that it's a primary residence shortly after you purchase the home. Because if you don't, you can't get that refund, so to speak, until the next year. You just have to pay it. And it is what it is. And then the next year you can reapply as a primary residence.
Wow. And there's no refunds if you missed that.
No,
there's
they
refund.
don't.
They're just going to keep your money in.
And this has happened a couple of times to clients of mine that they just forgot. So I think that's step one. We have to remind you to do that. And then,
Okay.
yeah.
I guess they were unaware of the fact that you have 100% success rate. They should have turned in the papers. So are there special rates or provisions for certain types of people, such as seniors or people in the military or something like that?
There is tax relief for certain categories. One of which is the, let's see, we've got several here. Oh, active duty.
Yes. Tell me about that.
Active duty armed forces. That's important. I don't know a lot about these programs, but they are, you have to apply for them.
Okay.
But if you're active duty or if you're low income and 65 years old and have low income, you can apply for that, as well as a widower at 66 or older. So often those of us that have a mortgage, our taxes are paid in our mortgage payment, right? So maybe we're not really thinking about it. But again, if these programs are out there and when you're struggling, then you should apply for those. And I can help you figure that out as well.
So do you know much of a tax break they get for each one of those things?
I don't. I think they're all a little different, but those programs are available.
Should we just make something up?
No. No, let's not do that.
No, okay, we won't do that.
Yeah.
So let's say that I am I'm active military, and I'm a widower, and I'm 66. Do I get 2 tax breaks?
If it's up to me, I say absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, you should. I'd give you all 3.
Why not? because you're just that kind of gal.
I know, right?
I know,
Of
that's
course,
really cool.
we gotta do what we can.
So there are ways that that we can definitely save money on paying our property taxes
Yes.
to our friends at the government. So we need to make sure those of you that are buying a home right now, while you're in the process of doing that, when you guys close this thing, you need to fill out that paperwork on the website of, was it Washington County something or?
Washington County, yes. And we give you this form at closing. So you have it. You can do it immediately. And the first step to that is changing the address on your driver's license online.
Really?
So it's really simple. And once you've done that, that's the first step. And then you make application and it's done. You're good to go.
Wow. I think that's great. So do you ever like follow up with some of these guys and say, Bob and Sally, don't forget,
I do.
turn in your paperwork.
I do.
Yeah, I figured that you would do that.
I do, because it has happened to me, I think, twice, where I have resold the client's home. They've lived in there for several years, gone to sell it for them, and they didn't do it.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And they were paying that much more in taxes. So
Wow.
that's when I realized I need to remind people.
I think that's great. I think that's a good service that you're offering to folks like that. So, Susie, I understand that you have a special featured property that you'd like to share with us today.
I do. I have a nice one.
Oh, well, tell us about that.
Okay.
I'll bet you our friend, oh, look, Mr. Sean has already pulled that up for us. Tell us about that.
This home is in Paradise Canyon, which that community is right off of Snow Canyon Parkway. So you can hike and bike right out your front door.
Really?
Yes,
That's a
in the
nice
Red
area.
Rocks.
I like that.
Love that area.
Yeah.
And it is completely, I don't want to say completely remodeled, but high-end finishes. That is granite, of course, but brand new wood floors. I don't know if we have a picture of the wood floors, but wood floors throughout in the great room, hallways, and then fresh paint. So it's a 3-bed, 2-bath, real private backyard with mature landscape.
That looks nice.
Listed at $549.
Oh,
And it would be perfect for either, a small family or second home. It is in an HOA, has the pool, it's got everything you want in a perfect location.
did you say it's a 3 and 2?
3-2.
Do you know when it was built?
No, I don't. It's in the 2010-ish
So it's fairly
range.
new.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, that's cool. $549. And let's say that somebody would like more information on this particular home. How do they get in contact with you?
Well, they can call or text Susie Appel at 435-229-8378.
That's great.
I'd
Susie,
love to show it to anyone and everyone.
It's a beautiful home. I really like that. So before we go, do you have any other words of tax-free wisdom for us today?
Well, I hope today I made taxation made easy. Real estate taxation made easy. How's that?
I think that's great.
I hope you feel you have a little bit more information about your taxes.
I think you've helped a lot of people today, especially people in the active military and widowers over 66 years old. I think they were going to help save them a lot of money on their taxes.
Hope so. That's my goal.
That's great. Well, Susie, thanks for joining us today, and thanks for being a part of your own show.
Well, thank you. I love being here.
You always do such a great job. We will see you guys again next week with another exciting episode of Real Estate Made Easy with your friend and mine, Susie Appel.
This has been Real Estate Made Easy with Susie Appel from Real Broker Red Rock Real Estate. For more information, susyappel.com. That's SUZYAPPEL.com. We invite you to join us again for another edition of Real Estate Made Easy with Susie Appel. This has been a production of One to One Network.